Dick Cheney has come out recently making some, as usual, ridiculous comments. He, as usual, wants to get attention. Him and his stupid daughter over there, Liz Cheney, have started. I forgot the name of their group, but they've started a group basically fighting back against any lessening of war. Basically the the military-industrial complex. Getting rid of any of that, if they want to get rid of, like, America wants to, draw down in any war, wants to get rid of any fighter jets being built, or any, weapons weaponry being added, tanks being added to any kind of war that's going on. They're against it. They're just against ending any kind of war. And that's not surprising coming from Dick Cheney or his daughter. So let me read you a portion of this. Actually, it's a pretty short article from Huffington Post. Former Vice President Dick Cheney said Monday that President Barack Obama is quote, devastating the U.S. military and needs to divert more resources away from domestic priorities, such as rebuilding roads and making sure low-income people can get food. During an event sponsored by Politico, Cheney said that the next president needs to turn around the whole trend of cutting defense dollars. Quote, that ought to be our top priority for spending, not food stamps, not highways, or anything else, Cheney said. Your number one responsibility as president is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Obama is the commander-in-chief, and he's absolutely devastating the United States military today. And the rest of the article just mentions how he was in favor of the Iraq War, and he doesn't regret waging the war, even though the price tag on that war, this is giving the conservative estimate of $2.2 trillion with inflation and with everything that's going to be done by the end of the war. It's going to be up to $7 trillion, and as well, of course, as the 190,000 lives, Iraqi lives. So let's break this down. How are you devastating the military when as in the military budget, when it still accounts for more than half of discretionary spending? Half of our spending is done, more than half, not even half, not even exactly half or barely half, not even like less than half. More than half of our spending is done on military. That's military spending. We put so much money. We have 900 military bases across the world. Across the world, we have military bases in Germany. We have military bases in South Korea. They're all over the place. How much more do we need? Afghanistan, Iraq, everywhere, all across the Middle East. Any country that's an ally with ours, we have one. Except Iran, except North Korea, except Russia. I guess these kind of countries that we're not exactly best friends with, and don't kiss our ass, basically. So according to Cheney, we should just let starving families die without the little amount of food stamps they get. It's not very much. They get a very little amount of money. And he says, oh no, that's not, who cares about that? Doesn't matter. No, we need to go into more wars and, do more drone strikes and invade more countries and kill more Muslims, basically, is what he's saying. Even though his messages always seem to be, we need to liberate the people of Iraq, or we need to liberate the people of, country A or country B, whatever said country. And so, on top of that, we should also let our roads and bridges crumble to invade and bomb, so we can bomb more countries. So apparently, our bridges and our roads that are basically fucked up, we have a grade D, a grade of D for our infrastructure in this country. That means our bridges are a piece of shit, basically. All the different bridges across the country, they're shit. I live in the Bay Area, and the Golden Gate Bridge, essentially, who knows what can happen to it now, hopefully, for the sake of all people that are crossing the Golden Gate Bridge, the Bay Bridge, whatever bridge that, obviously millions of people cross, anywhere in this country, hopefully they're good, but we've got a D rating for that, so that's not good. And then he wants to devastate that. He's talking about devastating the military. The military is nowhere close to being devastated. It's the country. It's this country that is being devastated by the fact that idiots like this don't want to keep funding, useful things. He may not like food stamps because it's God forbid it's spends money on people that are poor. He may not like that, but it's a very little amount of money. And a lot of the reasons why the Republicans don't want to spend on stuff like food stamps and welfare is because they want to try and find a fraud rate from it. They want to try and bring up the fraud rate. They want people to depend on it. In reality, they want people to depend on it. They say they don't, but they want people to depend on it so then they can go on. Somebody can, fraud the whole system, and then they can say, look, there's some fraud in the welfare system. It needs to be gotten rid of, and it needs to be reformed, quote unquote. And same with Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security. They want to reform all that. Even in reality, they probably want to turn it into a fucking voucher system, basically. And with all that, it's irony to its highest degree that this guy, and of course he wants to get rid of the these different kinds of domestic programs because he claims it adds to the deficit and adds to the debt. This is the guy that when he was asked about the deficit regarding the Iraq war, so spending so much money, as I mentioned, we're going to be spending trillions of dollars on this Iraq war. When he was asked about it initially, we're spending all this money on this war that's not even worth fighting. He says, so I don't care. He basically stuck a middle finger up to the United States, the taxpayers of the United States, and said, fuck you. Who cares? I can spend however much money I want. I'm in power right now. I get to do what I want, and you sit there and shut the fuck up. And either you take it, or and if you don't take it, then sad day for you, basically. So Cheney is just a loathsome human being. I don't even know why this guy thinks that anything he says, that matters, or that anybody even gives a shit. He's just a moron. He doesn't care about people. He doesn't care about other people. He cares about himself. And. It's just amazing. Same with his daughter. His daughter tried to run for Senate, failed terribly because she's an idiot too. And both of them continue to get airtime on different networks, on different channels, to give their stupid ass opinion that shouldn't even be taken seriously. So, I'm done, talking about this. If I talk about it anymore, I'm gonna, get even more pissed. So, let's go to our next story here.